everybody. Good evening.
Hello.
On behalf of my co-host Vistansi and the crew of the show, I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Bridging Heaven and Earth. First, I'd like to thank everybody for the wonderful calls and responses we've been getting lately. They're just really inspiring for us, and they're really helpful to us in proceeding on the show and trying to bring beautiful experiences for ourselves and for everyone else that's participating in this experience. And tonight we have a show that really is going to be one where we're going to bridge heaven and earth again, hopefully, and that'll be people's experience. We have a wonderful teacher and a communicator and a person who leads groups all over the world and swims with dolphins and whales and has had some incredible experiences, with those just magnificent beasts, and just the beauty of it and the beauty of her and her experience of them will be shared, with all of us tonight. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's Ilizabeth Fortune. And we also have with us for the third show in a row, and we're really excited about it, and really wonderful things are starting to happen for her, the singer-songwriter Abigail. And actually she's singing, this is taking place in Santa Barbara, and tomorrow in Santa Barbara, which is the 25th of May, Abigail's singing at the Flying Dragon all afternoon. And then she's also singing there June 20th, I think, and then July 5th or 6th. Call up and we'll let you know when she's singing. And also, it looks like she might have some of her lyrics put into poetry form, and a book will be published by Aughton House. That's in the works. So we're really excited about that, and we're, just wonderful things are happening. So as we usually do at this time, we start with an invocation and a meditation that Vistansi leads us in and just sets the tone for the rest of the show. So Vistansi.
Thank you. So maybe we can all join together and we can take a breath. And maybe this time when we breathe in, we can become aware of the energy field around us. And we can become aware of not only our physical body, but your emotional body and your mental body and the etheric body. And then maybe even further than that, we can begin to become aware of the 9 bodies that are called the spiritual body. For we are very vast, very great beings of light. And then sitting in our own energy, just feeling it, we can begin to breathe into this energy and breathe into the oneness with all of life. As we call forth to all the divine beings in the spiritual hierarchy, asking that the spiritual hierarchy and cosmic hierarchy join with us in our hearts, wherever you are, in your homes and in this studio, asking that the masters of light and all of the angels and divine ones that overlight this planet join with us and give us their radiance, and let us all come together in that way. And we call forth, especially tonight, to the I Am Presence, to that just truest and deepest part of our own selves, asking that we come to know that part and merge with that part and have what is called a merging with the I Am Presence happen. We call upon our soul's light. We call in the energies and love and assistance of the Ascended Masters, calling for the heart energies of Sananda, calling into the office of the Christ, asking that the Christed being that we are be fully awakened, asking that we take the steps of our own initiation on the path of ascension, whatever is in front of us and next for us to take. And tonight we ask for a special dispensation that we raise our light quotient 1%, whatever our light quotient is, that tonight somehow that there be grace and love and light to raise that quotient so we can hold more light, so that we can serve. So we ask to receive in order to give. And tonight we call forth into the oceans, especially around Santa Barbara, and ask that our love and light join with those great beings of light known as the whales and the dolphins. We call and ask for them, their energies to come into our hearts and into this room. We also call forth to the angels and our guardian angels and all of those archangels that surround this planet and lift this planet into her consciousness and into her ascension. We call for the protection of Michael and the resurrection of Gabriel. And we ask that tonight, any healing that needs to take place within any of our bodies, that this healing can take place under the auspices of Archangel Raphael. And so maybe you can just join with me and call in some of the higher chakras into our bodies, opening to receive the higher rays, opening to receive the sacred geometry of all of the dimensions. Maybe we can just call in the sacred geometries of the 24 dimensions of reality, asking that these somehow come into our consciousness and knowingness while we are awake and while we're sleeping and help to awaken us. Asking that the codes of enlightenment and ascension hidden deep within us begin to come into fruition, into knowledge and wisdom no longer hidden. And so maybe you can close your eyes with me if you wish and send your light down into the earth, joining with her body. And you can send your light and love all the way to Father, Mother, God above us, asking that your love and light join with all the sisterhoods and the brotherhoods all around us, calling forth to those beings on Sirius B, where the whales and dolphins come from, asking to connect with nature and all of the kingdoms into unity, consciousness, and oneness. And let's go into a moment of silence now. Thank you. Maybe we can ask that we have a light shower during this whole hour. Be taken out of time and space so we can do and say all that we wish to say and accomplish here, this magical hour. And so now I would like to introduce Abigail, and she almost needs no introduction. She's almost a part of our family here. You are, Abby, so just take it away whenever you're ready. Abby.
In your eyes I follow, in your eyes I see right through. In your eyes so hollow, you're the only eyes I listen to. Blue jays and swans in the skies of eyes of you. In your eyes I wallow, in the truth that's flowing. Takes me away from this, for a little while. Takes me away from this, for a little while. Takes me away from this. In your eyes
You know, I know you went through a lot to get here on the freeways, but like you're just glowing. It's like amazing. It's a good thing, you know, we picked somebody that can handle it. I know she was caught 8 hours in traffic
There were
trying to get
accidents
here.
on 101, so it
So
took a
really,
long time.
feel really welcomed here.
Oh, I
and
do.
Actually, you know, I would like to ask you if you would maybe give a little introduction about what you feel your mission, your purpose. Like when we talked, it was so beautiful. I don't really remember what you said, but you kind of put
You're
it into
talking to
some
somebody
words.
else, no?
And you sort of said what it was. I mean, I know you do the whales and the dolphins and flower of life and so many different things. And I found out through your newsletter all about you.
Yeah.
But maybe you can just sort of, you know, put it into your own words what you're doing here and what you feel your mission is.
Well, you know, just isolating it to dolphins and whales, or
No,
any
just
of
the
the
whole
other, or the other classes doesn't say, you know, what the mission really is, and yet the whole core of what is happening would focus on a theme that I've had to pay attention to myself, because anybody who is teaching anything, they're going to have to be learning whatever it is they're teaching. And I would put it into the quote that is at Delphi, to know thyself and to thine own self be true. Mm-hmm. And that's my mission. And it's to be that, know myself and to my own self be true to the fullest possible ability, and to assist other people to do that as well. And so that has given me gifts, and to tune into people, to look into people, in an ability to see. I can see somebody's essence. And then to support people to resonate with that essence, to resonate with their heart, and then walk that truth.
That's all? That's all you do? That's tremendous.
Well, the only thing would have to be that I would have to be doing that at all times. And so everything that I experience, from the dolphins to the whales, any class I facilitate, any person that crosses my path, it all is a teaching, and it all is a learning. And what's important is that I stay in the moment, and I stay clear, and I stay honest with myself. So I'm constantly weighing my heart with a feather on a scale of truth. That's an Egyptian story.
That, I don't know where that sounds familiar, although I don't know where I don't know really where it came from.
Yeah.
So
How do you do that?
To stay conscious, and it's like allow myself to go through feelings, and if I feel those feelings, that I feel them, and I don't repress them. And if there's any kind of feeling I have with another individual or a group, that I have the courage to speak the truth. And what's interesting about speaking the truth is that it needs to be done with compassion, and to speak the truth so that it's in honor of the other people involved as well, rather than coming from anger or frustration, and yet, or jealousy, or any of those other feelings. And if any of those other feelings are present, then I tend to go into silence, and I tend to go on walks. I'll wait. Right. And I'll go through the feelings. I won't hold them back. And I'll usually, I have a walk that I usually do, and I go down this beach, and it's usually a place where the dolphins come. And there's certain clump of rocks where I go, and I have this little routine. And
you do this
sometimes
every day?
I'm down there every day. I'm a
They
morning person.
They probably know you. Oh, here she comes, Elizabeth.
Well, whatever does happen down there, whatever happens at that beach, or any other experience I have with dolphins or whales, and with people, it always is like a drawing card, like a tarot card or a rune card, any kind of card. An experience just in life is a card for me, and then I look at it and I read it, and that's giving me information. Because I have a very deep faith that we're not alone here,
And so whatever it is,
We are meaning.
we, all of us, are not alone here on Earth. And so if anything is happening or I'm going through something, I know that I'm being watched over, and messages are coming to me on many different levels or many different dimensions. So all I have to do is to pay attention and look behind me as well as in front of me, or left
So
or
be
right,
quiet, conscious, and alert.
all the
kinda.
time. And in the moment, staying in the moment. That's one of the main messages with the dolphins and the whales, is to be in the moment.
One breath at a time, kind of.
Or the cosmic breath, if you want to say that, of that one breath will affect the whole.
Right.
And it's where the consciousness is with that breath, that's on how that breath is going to affect what's going on with me or what's going on around. I would say I'm in a constant state of listening in a spheric space, so behind me and then all around. And I look at everything as not an accident. And it is because it's like a book could be written at any moment because of all the things that have happened during a day or during a week or during a month.
I feel the same way. You know, actually, I got a degree in what's called communication, but I had no idea back then. I mean, that was a long time ago.
Right.
But I had no idea even what communication, or I had no idea what levels of communication were even available to a human being at that time, and we called it that. And it was just like radio, journalism. It was just communicating, you know, with words, creative writing, and it's like, and the level of communication that's available, and it has always been available, but especially now to us, to human beings here on the planet, is just astounding.
Well, that's what's exciting. And what's exciting are the multi-levels of communication. And one of the courses I'm involved with is vibrational communication. And a lot of the names that come for what I facilitate come through the dream time or come through experiences with dolphins and whales. And with vibrational communication, it's how we've always been able to communicate on these other levels, but we haven't trusted it. We haven't trusted our ability to have faith in our intuition, or trust our abilities to have faith in the dreams, and that the dreams are giving real clear guidelines on what to do and what actions to take, and no matter what is going on in anybody's life. And that's a communication. That's part of the vibrational communication. And it's being able to listen on this multi-dimensional level, not only way out there to all the angels and the archangels and the different dimensions, but and to be aware of the dimensions that are inside of us, and go inside our body, go inside each of the organs, go inside each of the cells, and flow with those waters, and receive the wisdom that's within our own physical body, just being here. That's another teaching of the whales and dolphins.
Wow. Did it help you in teaching that?
Well, they, just by being with them, you learn about your own body. They love their bodies. And they're very
we're
fluid.
learning too, but we're not quite as good as they are.
Well, that is one of the current main messages, is that there is a real need for us as humans to love our physical body and to love all the functions of our physical body. And that's, with that acceptance, there can be a true mergence, the mergence of our Merkaba with the Merkaba of the divine. And that's one reason why the guidance that I listen to is leading me now to facilitate another course that's called Honoring Our Own Divinity. And if you take the acronym of that, it says hood. And so it's like taking off the hood so that we can explore our and honor our own divinity and our own heart. It's quite beautiful. They've given me all the information for the first of 3 segments. These energies, these councils that I listen to, one of the experiences that I had with when I began listening to dolphins and whales, it's not just dolphins and whales, it's the councils of dolphins and whales, or the councils of cetacea, or cetacean consciousness. And some of that consciousness is represented by dolphins in the physical and dolphins in the etheric on many different dimensions, as well as whales in the physical in many different dimensions. And there are many humans in the physical body that are actually dolphins and whales that were at, and so there's a whole council that is with this cetacean council. When I had one of my earlier experiences, do you want to hear that? It was the first experience.
I was just going to ask you. I was going to say, can we back up and go into maybe baby Elizabeth, or whenever it was that you were always sort of open to spirit, right?
Always,
and then I was going to ask you how the whale and dolphin thing happened, just how it all happened to you.
In one of my studies with psychology, with the structured, scheduled studies, I was very much involved with memory and very interested with the memory of children before they were born. And that was proven. And so I had some sessions and related to those studies, and that's when I became very conscious of how conscious I was before birth. And I remembered commitments I had made in coming into a human body. And then going down the canal, I said, whoops, maybe there is something here that I don't want to do. And so with the birth, I made a decision that maybe this is something that I don't want to do, and I put myself on, I just forgot. And yet I remembered, and I remembered through childhood being very conscious of animals and being very conscious of flowers and plants, and I knew they could talk. I knew that there was a language there, and I couldn't understand why humans were not kinder to each other. And I went through some not too pleasant experiences in the family situation. And when I called out, why am I here? Why am I here? Very young, I remember just looking at this window and out this window and crying and almost calling, screaming out, why am I here?
How old were you?
I maybe was like 11 or somewhere in there, and it was after some horrendous happening. And then reflected in, I heard all these sounds, which I now would say might have been like a celestial choir or something. And I could hear some closer sounds, like it was the muffled voices of some people, energies that were very close. And then I was given a vision that reflected on the window of myself on stage with a lot of people. And I had no idea what that was. Was I going to dance or sing or whatever? In the state I was then, I could care less, and it didn't make sense. And so, I know now that I'm to reach a large number of people and to tell stories about the learnings that I've had with these dolphins and whales, which they're my family,
Actually, we have a clip that we edited together that maybe we could show us. I think it's about a 3.5 4 minute clip, and it's just with the dolphin. I think it's just dolphins in this one. So So whenever everybody's ready, just cue it up, and then we'll be right back to talk to Elizabeth.
True love
Okay, that was great. There weren't any whales in that one, so I'm going to let's just get into some whale talk here, okay?
Oh.
I have, in following the guidance through the years, I happen to be teaching in the school system, can you believe it or not, like 20 years. And I got a dream that just said, we're asking you to leave. And I didn't listen to this until the
You
third
sure it wasn't
time.
the principal telling you?
No.
Okay,
No.
I'm sure you were a good teacher.
I love teaching. I love the children. And so I went and got involved with a lot of different areas. That's when I became a massage therapist and learned about acupuncture and got involved with color and became a photonic therapist. Have you heard of that? And as a result of becoming a photonic
Why don't you explain
therapist,
that?
well, it's using
Sounds
color.
too close to clinic.
Yeah. It's it's using color and light to increase balance within the body and within the brain.
I'm just not sure everybody knew what you were saying, so we'd like to stay with us. Go ahead.
And so if anybody's involved with color, it's not going to take long before they get involved with sound. And what happened was that I recorded my own voice at the heart frequency once, and it was just one note. And then recorded the harmonics of that one note, and then made a loop tape of an hour and laid down on a table, and that tape was played by this technician. I found out later that my body went into a fetal position, and what I remembered was that I was underwater with this whale that was about from here to this picture. And this whale looked at me, and this long story, which I'll make short by just saying that the second time I didn't expect anything new, and so I was surprised that I was underwater, eye to eye with this whale again. And the third time I expected to see the whale. And one thing you learn with dolphins and whales and in life, you don't expect anything. And for a half hour, I was aware of this whale looking at me eye to eye, and then I heard this real loud sound, like the sound of an engine. And the next thing I knew, this whale had put its eye on my third eye. And the first two the learning was, you do not need to move to have movement. You can have as much movement as possible, as much knowledge and wisdom, and stay still. You don't have to move. It's all within. And then after this time where the eye went to my forehead, my life changed. And one thing right after another, that whale has been with me. And that whale has told me, the Ancient One has told me not to identify what kind of whale it is, because with identification and putting names even on high energies, it limits what can come in. And so they've asked me just to call them the Ancient Ones. And so that was in 1988. And one thing led to another, and my lessons started to begin with the dolphins and the whales. And I don't know how much time we have, but it just goes on and on.
Swim with them. I mean, how close do you get to the whales? How close can you get to a whale?
This last trip, first of all, it's not legal to be in the water with whales in most parts of the world. There is one area where there can be with a permit. You can be in the water with whales in the Dominican Republic. And these are the humpback whales. And the humpback whales there are different than the humpback whales in Hawaii. The pectoral fins are very white. And they come from Nova Scotia in the northern part of the Atlantic area, and those whales travel down and to the Dominican Republic, and that's where they give birth. And I do have access to being on boats, and I take groups of people who are interested to be in the water with these whales. And when you're in the water with these whales, they can be very close. You can be eye to eye, just like this. And that is so also with the dolphins. Eye to eye, even skin to skin. And so...
But is there, I mean, the whales are immense. I mean, in human
Some are.
proportion, right? I mean, aren't they just I mean, dolphins aren't quite
it's
as...
like
I mean, is it just like overpowering in a way
it
the first
can
couple
be,
of times?
and it can be interactions with water and interactions with dolphins and whales can bring up fear, from fear of water to fear of just being with a large mammal.
Right. Just so puny in a sense, physically speaking.
There's more to that.
Right, no, I understand.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about Drinvalo Melchizedek and just what the work that work that you're doing and how it ties in with the whales and dolphins and the breath, and somehow just can you weave all that together?
Well, very briefly, the weaving in with the information having to do with the Merkaba, which has to do with the energy field that's around all of us and all life forms, would be affected with communication and with being able to be in resonance with all life. And the other is that with the communication that I receive, or telepathic communication with the dolphins and the whales, a lot of it is in geometry, a lot more intricate than these platonic solids. These are called platonic solids down here. And that geometry, like the flower of life that is demonstrated over here, is a language, and it's a language of light, and it's a language of silence. And Drinvalo crossed my path as a result of an experience of being with dolphins. My first experience, very intense for a long time, and coming home after that experience and not being able to speak. And I lost my voice. And after getting back my voice, after a short time, somebody said, "Oh, why don't you call Drinvalo Melchizedek and he'll explain what happened to you." And that's how I met him. And I could hardly speak, and I called him and I explained what had gone on with me with the dolphins, which was many stories also. And he told me what he said, which was basically I'd come back too fast from being in these other dimensions, and it would be a matter of time before the voice fully came back, and it took another 6 weeks. But it was a major shift. 2 weeks later, his name would not cross my path so many times I couldn't push it aside. And a short while later, I was at the Flower of Life workshop at his home for the first time. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So you're going to do a little teaching later, but I think maybe first we'll have Abigail's second song.
Right.
So whenever we're ready for Abigail, I think we can have the second song. I think it's called Wind Children. WIND Children. So Abby, thank you.
If you want to know the answer, look within. 'Cause I am not the answer, I am not the answer, I am the wind. I can pick you up and put you places. I can blow your hair in front of your faces, but you wouldn't see. So you wouldn't learn. You are the wind, children of the wind. You are the wind, children of the wind. You are the children of the wind. Did I hear the children? Many of you may ask me why, that it seems I passed right by. Oh, a child of the wind. Oh, but you are so old and you are so wise. Look to the trees with inward eyes. Light, you are the wind. Children of the wind, my children. You are the wind. Children of the wind. Oh, blessed children of the wind, did I lie here to hear the children of the wind, did I hear? 'Cause you were around before mankind. You are a universal mind. Let it hide. That's right, my friend, let yourself cry. Don't even worry about the reason why. Oh, child of the wind. Pictures of the past float by and by. Let them blow so you can get high. You are the wind. Children of the wind, oh children. You are the wind, oh my children. You are the wind. You are the children of the wind. You are the children of the wind, did I hear?
Thank you, Abby. That was great.
Thank you so much.
And try to remember,
Gorgeous.
if you're in Santa Barbara, she's playing tomorrow. There's a wonderful health fair tomorrow at the Flying Dragon in Santa Barbara. If you have any questions about it, call me at 687-2053. But they have a lot of health practitioners doing a lot of really wonderful things. And Abby will be playing there from 12 on tomorrow. So if you want to catch more of Abby, you should, go by there. So now, Elizabeth, you said something about the song, and then there's a picture over to my right. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe we can get one of the cameras on it. Why don't you start talking about the song in that picture? They'll get a shot of it.
Well, it just has to do with the crisscrossing of the wind and the children, and there was one line there that had to do with the trees. And there's a picture here of whales swimming among the redwood trees. And this last whale trip that happened in February happened at a time after many gateways were opened, many doors were opened for people so that the veils were thinner so that they could be in touch with who they are and receive a tremendous amount of information. There were many shifts this last year in January and in February for the Earth and with the Earth. And during that time, the information came in of the high significance of this whale trip that was happening the end of February. All the dolphin swims and all the whale trips that I've been doing in connection with guidance have all had a larger purpose, far bigger than the group that would come and far bigger than the individuals that would come. It's just like those individuals in that group would be like facilitators of something very much bigger. And so it was with this February trip. And with that, the messages came in very strong. Even though the trip was scheduled a year in advance, I was told very clearly not to schedule anybody in until January. And that's real hard when you're setting up a very expensive trip and the such. And sure enough, when the signals came to actually schedule this trip, the people called and they knew that they were the ones to go. And what the main message was that it was time for the human, for the people, to let the cetacea know, and let the whales know, and also let the trees know that the human was finally awakening, and that the human would then awaken and be in partnership with the whales and with the trees. It was during that time. Do you want me to continue?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. It was during that time that it was decided that we were to make that statement, that if humans did not go back out to the whales to let the whales know and represent humankind or mankind and let them know that they were awake, that the whales wouldn't know. And through all the stories with indigenous tribes, the whales and the trees have been the ones that have been known through all the stories to be the record keepers and be the ancient ones. And now there's to be a triad between the trees and the whales and the human. There's to be a conscious joining up of land and sea and the human consciously all the time, every moment. And so the symbols came in for us to go out, and that there would be land representatives as well. Do you realize over 1,000 people participated in that trip this last February? 21 were at sea and over 1,000 were at land. We're conscious of the trip happening. People sent letters, stones, shells, little trinkets, their favorite little pendant to put into the water with the whales, letting them know that they were conscious and they were ready to take on the responsibility of partnership. And that's it. That's what's happening. Is there time for?
Where did the tree? I mean, what about treeness? What can you tell us about treeness and like about the consciousness of trees? And how people can connect maybe with the trees.
The trees are as conscious as the whales, serving their purpose. If there's time, I could lead people through something.
I think there is. Let's do that.
Yeah, do it. Yeah,
please.
Go right ahead.
Okay, so if you would like to close your eyes and just be at peace with your own rhythms, and be at peace with your own breath, and feel your own fluids, and move with the fluidity of your thought forms, and sense that on your right you have something very special approaching you, and it's a dolphin. The dolphin comes up very close and rubs its body against you and stays on your side. And just as you become conscious of the full pressure of that silken skin, you look to your left and you're aware of a dolphin to your left, and that dolphin comes over and moves its body up against you. And the next thing you realize, you're being raised, pushed by these two dolphins up in the air, so you're just being carried by their backs. And you move forward with the fluidity as if you are a dolphin yourself. And as you move with that fluidity, you go through some geometry, some lines, some forms, very simple, perhaps very intricate. And you know that as you're in this space of geometry, that there are lines and connecting lines, and there is light, and there's a language, and you're receiving information. And that information shares itself to you through a language of light and through a language of silence. And you move out through the geometry, and as you go out, you recognize that you are indeed like flying. For when you are in the water with dolphins and even with whales, it is like flying. You just happen to be in the water. And as you're up here in flight, you look down on your own life, and you look down on everything that you have going on in your own life and the people that are in your life. And as you are in this special place, look at these people. Look at your gratitude towards these people. Look at their beauty and how grateful you are that they're in your life, no matter whatever the relationship may be. And look at the flowers and the trees and the earth and whatever is in your life. And find yourself coming to a very quiet meadow and a water place like a lake, and move into that lake. And as that movement takes you closer, you see your own reflection in the water. And in that reflection, you see your own beauty, your special gifts, your uniqueness, your geometry, and your connection with all that there is. And you contemplate and take into your soul what it means to you when you hear the words, I am in you. You move gently and you move out and you come back through the geometry. And the dolphins on either side of you, like wings of an angel that you are. And you move back into your own heart, fully into your own heart. And there's a special gift in your own heart, and it has a label on it. And the label has your name. Look at your name. There's another label. It says that inside this gift, the most precious aspect of who you are is your creativity. Take a look and open up that gift inside your heart and see what you find. Pay attention to all the colors and the sounds and the shapes. And know that it is indeed time for the soul to express itself through every creative aspect that it has been dying to dance. And rest your journey with your friends and your wings by your side in the center of your heart, for that's where we all need to be, in the center of our heart. And so it is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was so beautiful. Yeah. And I had a little prayer that, I do have a fear of deep water, and I think I know where it came from. And my little prayer at the end of that was that somehow I hope to be able to be with the dolphins and the whales because I know they'll help me get over it.
Well, I'll tell you,
just
this last week we had two people out there. Both of them non-swimmers, and one of them absolutely terrified of water. And she ended up going into the water, and we told her later that she was in 400 feet. And
she thought it was a bathtub.
well, it's amazing that when the attention is taken by the beauty, not only of the dolphins, but the beauty of the water, and the beauty of the reflections of the light, and the beauty of the fish and the coral, and the life
the feeling
that's out
of being
there.
in the water.
I know I'd go.
I know
I'd go. It's just a matter of how I just jumped in.
Just feeling,
free.
Yeah.
Feeling free.
Actually, people sometimes ask me, is there any place you'd like to go? And I said, the only place I'd really like to go would be underwater.
Well, come.
Maybe we will.
I would love to have you.
Really? What's coming up for you?
Well, there's going to be a whale trip. I'm already planning 2 whale trips for next year. And there's a dolphin trip in June. And there's some classes.
Do they ever swim together? Is there ever where everybody meets with the whales and the dolphins and the people and the trees coming up?
Yes.
Trees float by.
We actually had 14 dolphins stay with us for 7 hours on this last trip.
Right alongside the boat. They love
with
that.
With us in the water.
Oh, in the water?
In the water.
Well, I think we have maybe just 10 seconds, so we just want to thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
It was really a wonderful show.
Thank you so much. Everybody be well, be in your own heart, open up.